best feeling BMW I have ever taken down these roads that I have taken every single BMW I've owned down. This car may have convinced me that if I had to do the one car solution and money wasn't an option, this might be the one car solution. This is my 1988 BMW Alpina B3 2.7 E30. This car has been in the United States for just over 2 weeks, and we are long overdue for a driving video. So let's take this thing for a spin and see what the mighty Alpina B3 is all about. So the last time we drove this car together was on the Autobahn. And if you remember that video, it was a short episode. It wasn't a lot of driving because I had, Yannick in the car, and I was kind of, new people, new place. I mean, driving in Germany for the first time, my first time driving in Europe, and it's in an Alpina E30, which the opportunity of a lifetime, but also super stressful, super scary, and yeah. So I wasn't really, in my full-on camera get up, right? I was a little scared, but now we're back in Chicago. Not quite as fun as driving this thing around Germany, but still a blessing to drive it. So first thing you will notice, Germany delivered car, no air conditioning. That's just common of German delivered cars from what I've heard. They just do not come with AC. It's not as necessary there as we find it here in America. It's October, yet it's 85 degrees out, and I'm sweating in here. But first thing you notice about this car, and this mainly attributes to it probably being a really low mileage, actual nice example, it is quiet inside, dude. Like there is not any wind noise. Like the seals are all perfect. It is a quiet, comfortable interior, and that's really not typical of E30s. Usually E30s are, rattle boxes, beat up, loud, not overly comfortable cars. But this thing feels like a luxury automobile. So Alpina B3 2.7. This is a 2.7 liter M20 engine. So basically a lot of those guys that run the stroker engines with the 2.5 head, the economy 2.7 bottom end, it's basically that, but built from factory from Alpina. So 2.7 liter, you have upgraded suspension, upgraded sway bars. I want to say the cam is a standard M20 B25 cam. I've heard that it's a hotter cam, but I don't think so. So I don't think that's true. Otherwise, it's got a full exhaust system, a rad exhaust. This is honestly one of the best cars I've ever heard factory from BMW. It's got tuning done to it to produce 204 horsepower and I think 196 torque, which honestly will give an E30 M3 a run for its money. I mean, that's the cool thing about Alpina, is you're taking non-Ms and you're basically making them compete with M3s. E30 M3 standard is about 215 horsepower, 204. The weight, I'm not sure how the weights factor in, but what that makes for is a very peppy, fun little car. This, similar to my E9 driving videos, is scary to drive because it is literally a museum piece. I mean, 87,000 original kilometers, original paint, original interior, untouched, unscathed, no anything, no repaints, no reupholstery. It was kept by an enthusiast, and it was stored away in his collection for the last probably almost 20 years. But we're gonna see what it's all about. We're gonna see how this thing drives. I'm gonna take this thing to the fun roads because I think it's worth it, rather than just a standard little drive. We want to put this thing through the test and see how it feels. I'm getting real familiar with kilometers on the cluster because every car I've been driving lately that was imported is obviously in kilometers. Arguably one of the coolest things about the B3, or most Alpinas, is the digital gauges in the vent. I mean, for 1988, it's just super technologically advanced, and it just is really, really cool to see. And it gives you diff temp, engine temp, and then bar is like pressure. So it gives you like, it says Sauger and it says motor. 1.5 idling bars for the engine, which is basically like your manifold pressure. And then I don't know what Sauger is. Someone, I'm sure, will be able to tell me that. Because it's a measurement of bar, right? So it's 0.5 bar. Sauger. Differential, maybe that, I don't know. Ox must be diff because the diff has a temp sensor. Sauger must, I don't know. Be more than happy to have someone explain that to me. It is a standard 5-speed, it's not a dogleg, which is kind of interesting to me, seeing as a lot of Euro E30s were dogleg, like the E30 M3, but regular 5-speed. The wood Alpina shift knob feels really good in your hand. The Alpina leather wheel looks brand new and feels brand new and is an absolute dream to hang on to. Let's give this thing our first pull together. I'm revving it out, but I'm being gentle on it just because I'm being gentle. It's an impressive car for sure. The wheel, like I said, the horn buttons on the side is really cool. Feels awesome. It's a perfect size. This thing rides like it's on rails, dude. The steering response is super, super, super tight. Isn't quite loud enough to where I feel like you can hear it on camera, but it is the best exhaust note. I'll get some straight up exhaust clips after this. It is the most elegant, beautiful exhaust note I've ever heard from BMW, like I said. It is the perfect mix. I don't know what Alpina did to get their exhaust to sound this awesome, but it is, oh my lord. I think it's got some form of headers. Again, from the top it's hard to tell because it's got that crazy heat shield, but I think it's got headers, and then obviously, you know, muffler and all that is refined. I mean, it is, M20s are already a good sounding engine, but whatever they did to this is insane. You cannot help but smile with how this car sounds, dude. So we're gonna hit some corners here because I feel like this is a very good corner car. This is the best feeling BMW I have ever taken down these roads that I have taken every single BMW I've owned down. It is just happy as can be in the corners and the straightaway. It pulls silky smooth. This car feels like a brand new car. The suspension is certainly stiffer than a stock E30. I mean, you got the upgraded sport suspension from Alpina. So, I mean, it's a more sport-oriented suspension, obviously. So, it is stiff. It's not harsh. I mean, we don't want to mistake it for some harsh interior. But it is definitely stiff. this car feels so good. So good. What a riot to drive. The steering is so tight, the suspension is so tight. It's like it riding on rails, dude. And then the power is just perfect power, like, for the car. I know I always talk about, oh, like, you know, this car should have come with this engine. You know, E30 should have come with M50s because M50s just fit the power level. Well, this M20 is making more power than any M50 that's not obviously turbocharged or massively NA built. And it feels perfect for this car. It's not some crazy ass setup that's gonna scare you. It is the perfect amount of fun for straight line pulls that actually impress you, and cornering that you don't feel as though if I overstep this throttle, I'm gonna be veering off the road because the rear end's gonna kick out. It feels controlled. The wider Alpina wheels obviously help with that. The sport suspension helps with that. The upgraded sway bars, I mean, this thing compared to a stock E30, it's like you came and compare them. It is loads better than an E30. I mean, obviously they took an E30 and they made it perfect. Like, literally perfect. This is the perfect car. Like, if there was one BMW to own and daily drive, had these have not obviously been such collector pieces and expensive. I'm not a 3 Series guy, but this car may have convinced me that if I had to do the one car solution and money wasn't an option, this might be the one car solution. I mean, it is a beautiful, beautiful driving experience. The cloth seats with the leather sides, I actually really enjoy cloth seats because I think that they don't get as hot or as cold. This car will obviously not see cold weather driving, but when you're in the hot driving without AC, I think the cloth helps instead of leather. And they're really tight. I'm not a very large guy. I'm about 5'10" and 160, and these side bolsters on these seats are actually crazy. They are hugging me like nothing else. Let's get some more corners. Car just eats up the corners. It's so rewarding to drive. You know, I have a lot of modified cars and I've had a lot of stock ones, and I will say stock doesn't overly impress me unless it's, you know, an M car, and modified honestly doesn't really impress me. I think, you know, coilovers and a lot of the mods that people do on these cars ruins them, to be honest. I mean, it's not that nice. This is, dude, this car is everything. Like, it's got the sportiness that you want from a car like this to perform, but it's not got the, you know, crazy ass stiff suspension that ruined the car. It is the perfect. I just don't know how many times I can say how perfect it is. I am loving this thing. What a reward to drive. What a blessing. What a treat to own such a piece of BMW history, and how just great this car runs and drives, and how silky smooth it is and solid. I mean, it doesn't rattle like E30s. Most of the rattle noise, if you can hear it at all, is my stupid tripod that I have to have like tied to the seats, or else it will just launch all over the place. Just beautiful, beautiful car. I don't know how many times I can say it, man. And these seats, I know I cut myself off because I hit the corners, but dude, these things hug you. I mean, I don't move at all side to side. These are the tightest side bolsters I have ever felt in a car. We're getting a phone call. This has got to be the smoothest accelerating car I've ever been in. Like, I mean, it revs through and it's just like dead consistent feeling. Like it is just a nice little torquey M20 pull, but it has enough power to get out of its own way rather than a stock M20, and it runs better than any stock M20. Let's be honest with ourselves. Check control in full German, which is awesome. This car is just an absolute treat. I don't know how many times I can say it. I'm in love with this car. For the rest of this drive, I want to give you guys nothing but Alpina. I'm going to shut up with the talking. You guys have heard it from me here. This is a literal 10 out of 10 car. Undeniably. The most solid feeling BMW I've ever been in. Alpina contributes to that. The mileage contributes to that. The steward that was before it contributed to that. The ownership, taking care of it. It really goes to show you a 1988 car taken care of is, I mean, you can't even, it is, these cars can be all original from the 80s and still be in mint condition, and this car goes to show you that. It is impressive, dude. Super impressive.